Welcome, everybody. Another episode of Straight Talk Commerce Cast. Very excited to be here with Wayne Altman. I don't want to say my adversary because he is my brother, but sometimes we'll get into it. And our host, live from Guadalajara, Mexico, Ian Slade.
So what do we got, David, for today?
Yeah, well, look, let's start it off. Some of the news that was popping today, if anybody saw Harrison Butzger's controversial speech, we thought we'd kind of take the commerce and just small business angle to that. So let's go to the video. Returned.
It is safe to say that over the past few years, I've gained quite the reputation for speaking my mind.
Butzger sounding off about working women.
I think it is you, the women, who have had the most diabolical lies told to you. How many of you are sitting here now, about to cross this stage, and are thinking about all the promotions and titles you are going to get in your career? Some of you may go on to lead successful careers in the world, but I would venture to guess that the majority of you are most excited about your marriage and the children you will bring into this world.
Butzger then referring to Pride Month, which celebrates the LGBTQ community, as a deadly sin.
Not the deadly sin sort of pride that has an entire month dedicated to it, but the true God-centered pride that is cooperating with the Holy Ghost to glorify him.
Mentioning priests who become too familiar with parishioners, illustrating his point by borrowing a line from a song written by a certain famous teammate's girlfriend.
Because as my teammate's girlfriend says, familiarity breeds contempt.
That line from Taylor Swift's Bejeweled quickly drawing the ire of Swifties. One writing, "I didn't think you grasped the message of the Taylor Swift song you quoted. Go listen to all her albums as homework." The NFL reacting to the speech, saying Harrison Butzger gave a speech in his personal capacity. His views are not those of the NFL as an organization. The NFL is steadfast in our commitment to inclusion, which only makes our league stronger.
Hello.
Okay, let's end it there. Interesting. You saw it this evening?
Yeah, it was. I was that in this day and age, you can stand in front of people hear that, but at the same time, I'm happy that country you can stand up, say that, and also not be shot or hanged in a public square. I think that and the ability to share your views, regardless of how controversial, is what makes our country great. But for today, we're going to focus on to deal with different viewpoints as a business owner, not just with your employees, but also with your suppliers, your vendors, your customers. There's a whole ecosystem, and different folks have different views. So Wayne, I'd love to get your take on this.
In today's competitive job market, simply applying for roles isn't enough. Let me show you a smarter approach. Hi, I'm David Leeton, with over 30 years of executive search expertise. Together, we'll unlock hidden opportunities. By leveraging the Woody Network and LinkedIn, we'll target companies on the rise, where your skills truly shine. Let's explore unadvertised roles in growth-focused companies, aligning your aspirations with thriving organizations. Together, we'll craft a personalized strategy to connect you with the career opportunities you deserve. Experience a tailored approach that goes beyond traditional job hunting, paving the way for your professional success. Join me on this journey to unlock your full potential and secure a fulfilling role in a company you admire. Let's navigate the job market together, leveraging my expertise to guide you towards your dream career path. It's time to step into a future where your professional journey is defined by purpose and passion. Let's make it happen. Discover a new way to approach job hunting, tailored to your unique strengths and ambitions. Your success story starts now.
Well, let's make it very clear. He was standing in front of a Catholic university. That university invited him to come and speak, and I would be very to believe that they didn't know what they were getting and they didn't know who they were asking to come and talk. That being said, his comments were not controversial at all in that venue. It's only controversial to people who disagree with him. So, freedom of speech, that's a beautiful freedom of speech. You only get freedom of speech, or you only hear freedom of speech when it's an opinion that you disagree with. If you don't need from speech if you agree with whatever it is being said.
Right, but Wayne, he does work for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
NFL. Is there a responsibility he has to go too far either way to cause a controversy?
Hmm.
And
That's a point.
he's a kicker, he's one of the best ones, but
Well, if he made the agreement at his employment that he would watch what he says, then the answer to that is yes, you've broken an agreement. We asked you to keep your opinions to yourself, or at least, not offending people. Okay. In place, yes, he made an agreement, he signed a contract, and if that's part of the contract, then the answer to your question, David, is yes, absolutely. However, there was no such agreement. We are still living in the United States of America. We had half of every one of those football teams kneeling on the field and making their personal statements. The NFL, they would have a very, very hard time in exercising any kind of punishment, because they've let for years people kneel and do other forms of freedom of speech. It would be a very hard sell in front of a judge to say that this was some egregious thing that he's done.
Well, not even that. Do they want the controversy on their team? Would they drop him with the NFL? Or does the NFL want these things to come out? We're talking about it here on Straight Talk Commerce. They've been talking about it on every newscast, sports show.
David, if there's
and during the NBA, the NHL playoffs, the NFL seems to stay top of mind no matter what. They just had the draft. One of the draft a few weeks ago, or maybe a week ago. So anyway, I think it's interesting, right? We look at our businesses, right? Thousands of dollars in advertising the NFL got. Billions, right? Just through being fined. So it's interesting.
How many companies in the last few months, last couple of years, have tried to make political statements of their own and absolutely tank their own, not their employees doing it. The company message changed and they tanked their own product. Bud Light comes to mind. The NFL, when the NFL does stuff like this, Disney has just been through the ringer, making all kinds of comes to this stuff. So anytime that you suppress freedom of speech, that's a bad idea. If I were the NFL, if I were the commissioner of the NFL, maybe I call him in and go, hey, let's try and keep it down. But I would keep that on the low. I would definitely not be making a big deal about someone in my employ exercising their freedom of speech. That would be a bad mistake.
Yeah. Well, look, and it's going to be interesting. NFL kind of had to make a statement. They came out with something that's, kind of lukewarm with inclusion, blah, blah, blah. Big corporation states, they're able to silence some of the stories, especially as there's a lot of news in the news cycle now. And it's interesting. And I just think about, with our listen to them up and coming e-commerce sites, maybe they have, physical stores, and they're starting to, get their brand out there. Paid media will spend tens of thousands of dollars to make hopefully more than that and kick it into the millions. But
well, if you are starting this is definitely something that you need to be aware of. You need to understand that words matter. Building a brand. And look, freedom of speech is great.
Right.
If you go and have your audience, in other words, you say something that's going to offend half of your audience, that you may want to take a second, think about that.
Right. But what I'm talking about too is, like, if we look at social search terms for this show, we are going to have Harrison Butzger's name in our search,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
Now there'll be some organic search that will come to find the show that, of course, will love it, right? So, this is all ways I think businesses can leverage and piggyback on some of these stories or just things going on now, as well as voice their opinion. Do they want to be in the middle of it? Like you're saying, Wayne, we probably don't want to alienate half of our potential viewers.
100%
But,
no.
right? But if we can stand by on the sidelines, listen to what's going on, that's really a strategy to be looked at that I think we can really help support our community with getting message sector service in front of the right people.
I have a story for you guys. So one of the things that I do is I moderate a monthly guest with a prominent institution. And one of my guests, you guys both know, is Jackie, former KGB, former FBI, all of that. And one of the things that we talked about was, what roles are better for women than for men and vice versa. Just looking at, espionage, counterintelligence, and all of that. And he said, obviously for in actions of, kicking doors and all of that, you want as many men as possible. But in terms of like synthesizing data, women are actually better at that, like listening to so many different stories, synthesizing. And became so controversial that it wasn't actually uploaded because of the fact that he said that, men are better than women. But they just took that sound bite and didn't listen to the context. So I can see this happening in organizations like Melody Cloud, thousands of people from hundreds of countries. Same thing with you, Dave. I have, possibly 20,000 coming into 50 countries. So people from different viewpoints. So my question for both of you is, create space, an environment where people can share their views and disagree respectfully. Is that even possible?
I think that I think the three of them into our civil discourse. And I think these are healthy things, right? And especially in articulating the point. Jack, I love Jack, very good. I'm sure, he comes from facts. He's not trying to insult anybody.
Yeah, no, absolutely not.
Right? So how is it up now? He could join us on Straight Top Commerce. Maybe we'll have him on as a future guest.
Yeah,
We'll
I'll have
right? Get rid of the laws, but other than that, they can say on. Yeah, so look, I think it's set up knowing your audience. And again, we bring everything back to the top of funnel. So again, these are all strategies that we want to leverage. We want to do it authentically, but there's just a strategy behind these things. Different than the TikTok in a day and do X, Y, and Z in 5 minutes. No, this is a well thought out game plan. You also want to align your values and your purpose and be authentic, because if you're not, that'll come out and the audience will see it. Wayne, what do you think?
Look, I can't, some people cannot. Anyone listening, that yes, there are people who can step outside of themselves. They can see other side, or at least allow other points to be made. We all know people who absolutely cannot do that. So that's their loss, really. The civil discourse in this country and the world, frankly, has taken a beating because people. Yeah, look, everyone loves the fact that what I can do. They want to talk about what they can't do or what they're worse at, or they want to talk about what they're better at. They don't want to talk about what they're worse. And it just seems to me, doesn't matter what the group is, just insert group. They don't want to hear they are better at one thing than another thing. It just doesn't hit their ears correctly. Me, I enjoy that. I happen to know what I am good at. It's very beneficial to anybody listening. Find out what you are good at, where your weaknesses are. Work on your weaknesses, but exploit those things that you're good at, and enjoy the fact that you're good at them and that you're smart enough to identify what it is your talents are. Because the world is literally who have no clue what they're good at.
No, and you mentioned that, we did have Dr. in the witty community, which, Straight Talk Commerce and HPMA part of this week. And that's what he talks about, right? Dr. Aid, who would be probably a great guest, he knew what at when we were whatever age we learn it, our natural state of being in our zone, let's focus on that. Sure, there might be doubters. Oh, you can't paint for a living. Oh, you can't play basketball. Whatever it is, you can't play music, right? The naysayers. But, if these other things, it's just friction. And I think, we see these people, Jaggers, they stay values and what they felt, and were given the support system to have freedom to do it, right?
Something that was profound, which is if you're trying to figure out what you're naturally passionate about, might have talent in, but at least it's something you really do. He had a mental exercise, which is imagine that you have $1 billion in the bank right now. You do tomorrow, next week, next month. Just put the money aspect aside. What would you do? Think about that. And after you think about that, well, find a way to slowly start doing that, even though you don't have the $1 billion. Now, he didn't advocate for, quit your job and immediately, but find ways where you can slowly, maybe 5% of your week, you can do something along those lines. Then you get to 10% until you get to a point where there's some financial viability, and then you can make the transition. But to your point, Wayne, a lot of people don't even allow themselves to think about it, right? Like we were all born curious, we're all born scientists, we're all born artists, but somewhere along the way, we are told what to think, do, say, dress, and we kind of push that inner voice, that inner child to the side. And then before you know it, you're in your 20s, your 30s, and for our listeners who are in that demographic, you're trying to figure out, wait, I've been doing something that I'm okay at. It pays the bills. It's not really what I'm passionate about. Might not even be what I'm really at. So just taking the time to think about that. And I think I'm hoping in some of our future sessions, we can have guests and talk about what they enjoy. And to your point, Wayne, create that roadmap. I think what we viewers would agree is very concrete steps. How do you take all these lofty ideas, all these amazing theories, and apply it to your life right now? If you're watching this in your cubicle, transition, what are the immediate steps that you can do, and not just, leave you hanging with lofty ideas?
For sure. And that I don't either about this the Rockefellers $500 million checks.
No.
Wayne?
No.
Yeah, real quick. A businessman was deep in debt, no way out. Creditors were chasing him, suppliers were demanding payment. He sat in a park thinking, if anything could save this company from bankruptcy. Suddenly an old man appeared before him. I can see something is troubling you, he said, after listening to the man's difficulties. The old man said, I believe you and I can help you. He asked the man his name. He wrote out a check and gave it in this money. Meet me here in exactly 1 year from today and you can pay me back. And then he turned and disappeared. The businessman saw the check he was given was for $500,000 signed by John D. Rockefeller, one of the richest men in the world. Now my money worries are over in an instant, he thought, and started smiling. Nevertheless, the businessman decided to put the check, knowing it would be there would give him just the comfort and the peace of mind to save his business. So now with renewed optimism, he negotiated better contracts, terms from his suppliers, and doing big deals. Within a few months, he was out of debt and started making money once again. Exactly a year later, the businessman returned to the bench and at the uncashed, the old man did not appear, and the businessman decided to wait. Sometime later, the businessman saw the old man and thought to hand him the check and a few words of thanks. After a little while, the businessman saw a nurse come running to catch the old man, saying, "Glad I caught you," she said. "Hasn't been bothering you. He escaped from the mental hospital and tells people he's Rockefeller," right? The story goes on a little below, right? But it's, but serious, right? Because that's all just about your way of being. Get under pressure as an entrepreneur. We're going to have our ups and downs. It's about having the support of community. And so just him having the peace of mind, which he could not have had, right? That he did not have to be handed that check to shift his attitude and way of being. But that's how we let these things control us. And I think that's, a great story that kind of just, having the support of community, go-to people that can you, view for me, powerful. And I think that's what, as we build out the community, that's what it's all about.
Music can influence your emotional and physical well-being. Solfeggio and binaural beats create frequencies that have been found to help heal your body and alter your mood. Guided meditation can center and calm your mind and soothe your soul. Melody Clouds brings you a massive collection of audiobooks and music files that include 17,000 classic novels and hand-picked authors narrated by professional voice actors. Get access to exclusive content on children's stories and classic Aesop's fables. Melody Clouds is translated into over 140 languages and in more than 200 countries and has a library that continues to expand monthly. Sign up now for a 60-day trial for just $2.99. Then, keep the music flowing for $5.99 a month. Our yearly membership is now $59.99 for a limited time. Join thousands of subscribers who have found the benefits of these frequencies.
Yeah.
I agree.
Well, look, for me, it's action. You have to have to put one foot in front of the other. Every journey of 10,000 miles begins with the first step. You have got to do, whether it's research your business, you cannot have paralysis by analysis, but what you do need to do is come up with a plan and execute the plan. Wrong, you can always correct mistakes. Very, very few mistakes that you cannot correct, especially when it comes to this type of business. And I've very, very, very expensive lessons. Business, e-com, whatever it was, some very expensive lessons. But over time, those expensive lessons, that education caught up and started paying off. So there you go.
Yeah. And look, in our ever evolved world now, right? AI, frontier of technology. Everything's kind of starting again. Google AdWords, right? Cookies are disappearing. All of the strategies now need to be shifted, right? So if you're someone who thinks that, oh, I haven't been doing this for 10 years like my competitor, you're the people coming in fresh now with an open mind, that could be a competitive advantage right there, no matter what vertical they're in, because they're not kind of bringing that past into their future. Talk with somebody from a big media company today that just talked about, look, they work with big brands. They'll have to reinvent how they're working now with companies, right? In the ad tech space, in general. So, yeah, it's pretty amazing what's going on in the world we're living in.
For you guys, we mentioned this before we started recording. The difference between getting rock star, right? Like top sales guy, top analyst, top coder, versus getting people who might not be the top of their field, but are true believers in the mission of the company. What are your thoughts on that?
Look, I think you want to grind. If you're a small business, could getting like the top AI person that's in R&D, Microsoft or Google or OpenAI be a great thing for your tech? 1,000%. On the side, on the biz dev side, big company versus small company. Are they hungry? Right? I mean, these are things that definitely need out. Everybody loves a shiny new object. Maybe they'll even help raise some money. I would take kind of the smart, hungry old type person that, maybe even defer some salary in cash, piece of the action, because they're gonna, be in the war with me. Wait,
I like to keep myself lean. I work a lot of hours. I mean, you guys know this. I'm up, 2, 3 in the morning. I have a burning desire to make all of these pieces that I've got. All these plates keep spinning, and all these pieces fit together. Now bringing somebody in that is going to help me. Look, I need to there. That those are my apps. They need to understand, and I also need to understand. Sometimes I struggle with this, that it's not theirs. It's not theirs to, they want quality of life. They want to step away from their computer, step away from analyzing stuff. I totally understand that. But if someone that really wanted to partner, really wanted to get in, they would not be as much an employee or last very, very short period of time. And it would be more of a partnership relationship. I am one of those big, big, big believers in equity. You want to, you're ready to take on risk, you're ready to take on reward. And I'm very, very big believer. Ian, you and I were talking the other day, and I said, look, if someone came up, you gave somebody $200 and or they gave you $200 and you gave you $100 back, that be optimal being for every $200 that they gave you, it only cost you $100. I mean, you do that all day long. So yeah, I for people, for me to hire, especially higher investment, I definitely prefer people who actually enjoy what it is they do. And if I find out that you don't, I'm going to invite you to go do that somewhere else.
So bringing it back to the top, started off with diversity of thought, right? Not just diversity of religion, skin, all of that, of thought. How do you guys deal with criteria? They're smart, they're hungry, entrepreneurial. Their views are so different. Let's say you have 4 existing, startup, 4 existing employees, and this absolutely need, but just rubs the other 4 the way. How do you deal with that?
Anybody in my organization that's going to through and provide less trouble that they cause. Providing more value. I've had loan officers before that I would tell them, hey, why don't you work from home? You're for many different reasons. Okay. Why don't you work from home? I trust you to get this work done. If they can, they can. If they can't, they can't. And the same, not too long ago, I had somebody that did some work for me. And absolutely, it was a bad idea to have them working with other people. So I'm very flexible when it comes to that. However, if you become a bigger annoyance, you become a bigger liability to me than the value you provide, you will be looking for another job.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
How about you, David?
well, look, certainly to be sit amongst your people. I think as a leader, we can create that. Many technology and personality from different perspectives. All, if they're put in a position to share how their unique selves contribute to the innovation of the product or the sales strategy or whatever, you can sometimes, it's not black and white, right? Sometimes you create an environment to help people understand each other and learn and be in alignment. Dr. Aid, we have him on with about some of that with Meet Yourself, right? Because get the different files of backgrounds and how people work together, that can be strong. Sometimes, when you're talking coding and art, some people are there in their own space, other people that could turn them on. Maybe they just haven't been around a person like that before. But, they're geniuses, right? So I think a lot of it just depends. And look, number one, it's about patient and having the space where people can share and asking questions and not coming from judgment. Wayne, I agree with you. Let's move them out. If it's a role, we're not doing anybody a favor. But, if we can really get in alignment small business owners. And I think, you know, I'll recommend the book Traction. Traction leaders come on with us to talk about technology. Running a mile, you know, mile a minute. And sometimes we're just shooting from the hip. But you know, if we put in success, huge pays off huge dividends.
I want to say something real quick. I just reminded me of a story. Okay, very briefly. I had a mortgage company, Midway Mortgage in Texas, and I had a loan processor come to me because the loan officer she was assigned to they clashed. They had a very hard time working together. And she came in one morning and said, look, you got to do something about this guy. And I told her, hey, look, why don't you have a seat? Let me tell you how the cow ate the cabbage. He brings in a great deal of money. I can replace in about 50 minutes. You're a hell of a loan package. There is nobody that does better work I've ever seen. However, you haven't brought a loan into this loan office ever. So I'm going to have to go with a guy that's mildly irritating. The woman you're awesome human being. I agree with you 99.9% of the time you open your mouth. But I'm going to have to go with a guy that's actually bringing the money into the building. So best of luck to you if you decide to leave us.
Wow. Now, this is great because I've seen organizations, big and small, and you know, hospitals that I work. Organizational change management is I come in helping with technology, but eventually the issues are rarely the technology. It's mostly process and ultimately people. So that people, process, technology, it's always the people that you need to really work through, especially if you're dealing with multiple departments or in some cases, multiple hospitals are trying to standardize. So I couldn't agree more. Now, I wish I knew some of these things, you know, starting out before. So this is truly hope for the folks listening, especially the younger demographic. Allow us to tell our worries, our failures, things that didn't go as we hoped, and learn from us, right? Like, I hope, you know, this is one of the things that we can save you the trouble, the effort of making the mistakes we did. Combined, we have close to a century of experience things and close to a century of success and failure. So same thing with our guests. I'm hoping that they'll be vulnerable enough too to share the things that they thought was amazing and out not to be. And how did they pivot, right? I think that's one thing that separates entrepreneurs that succeed versus those that don't. It's rarely talent. It's the ability to pivot, to adapt. Okay, you failed. What did you learn? Are you able to move on? Or are you just gonna go back to the comfort of, you know, either, you know, the ninth that you, or just stop altogether, try to fit your dreams to your existing realities versus trying to make your realities your reality align with your dream. I think there's a lot of lessons, and here's the thing. I think entrepreneur to being a parent, wherein he knows how to raise your child, because your child is unique. No one came before it. No one's going to come after it that's exactly the same as your child. It's the same thing with your business, right? Your business is unique. You might have same competitors, be in the same vertical, but your business is unique. So there isn't a book or a roadmap. If you follow these exactly, you're exactly going to do this, because it's unique. You have to tailor to your business. So I'm hoping that as we get people to come on, share their stories, allow us to provide some, you know, tips and tricks. But at the end of the day, you have to Wayne's point, you have to take the first step.
Yeah, your entire job at every stage of your business, your entire job is to make mistakes that not kill what you're trying to build. That's all you have to do. Can't make it any simpler than that. You're going to make mistakes. Your entire job is to only make mistakes that will not kill your business. Make those mistakes that are minor enough that you will be able to walk into work the next day or continue your efforts the next day. Plain and simple. That goes for the guy that's 23-year-old who just got out of college and he's starting his own business. That goes for the 68-year-old CEO that has been doing this for 25, 45, 55 years. This goes for the guy that took over his daddy's business, who, left it to him last week. One job is to make mistakes that do not kill that business only.
100%.
Okay, so I'm gonna semi disagree. I think look, obviously we don't want to do things that are gonna completely kill our business, but we do have to stretch, right? We have to make decisions. Indecision is a decision. I learned, hey, let's go for it. If that doesn't work, eat cheese and then
Not disagree.
I hear you, but I'm just
I
saying,
mean, if you want to disagree with me,
I didn't
disagree with me.
I did not want what I thought somebody to come away from is don't push too hard because
No.
because
You can
they
make very big mistakes.
Right.
What you cannot do is make a mistake that kills your business.
Well, listen, that's why we're talking about e-commerce, right? We don't have to go have a big, store. We have a big nut for renting, right?
Yeah.
We could even do drop shipping, insta printing, right? So look, that's all part of, I think, our new economy and how we keep things and limit our risk and put all the chips in.
Let me give you an example I'm talking about. All right, you mentioned drop shipping. Okay, that's one business model. And if you make a decision to do drop shipping, right, you've made the decision not to warehouse the widgets or whatever it is you're making. The decision to drop ship is not going to kill your business. However, the warehousing option could very well kill that business. Because if you don't have a market for every one of the widgets that you got that big warehouse space for, right? Yeah. Hey, that is a business killing decision. So that's kind of my point. Make those decisions that you say, all right, look, here's my out. This is the way we're gonna, if things go south, if this doesn't work out, this is the pivot. This is what we can do, and our business is gonna be safe.
Yeah, and I think, look, what you and I said, great, what Ian said, go through the pain the three of us have gone through and our other guests will have gone through, right? Like, let us absorb that for you, learn it.
Yeah.
And that's why we're here.
Get to the KDP, the Amazon book publishing, for that. I mean, the to publish a book, there is a right way of doing it. I discovered it by getting my butt spanked twice. So how about that?
Yeah,
but I agree. Yeah,
for sure.
Listen,
and
I want to pivot back to the young entrepreneur. They're just starting out. We're talking like where we are. We're mid expert, and we, in my view, let's pivot back to helping people actually get motivated. What do you say?
Let's do it.
Yeah. Shows are look. I think we've been going for a minute. I think other things we will get. I think other things we will continue on through our journey of the podcast, of the community. I don't know if people can see the chat, Wayne, but I did put in witi.ai. Lock up those URLs for AI. Next week or the next show or one of the upcoming shows, we'll have Nandik on. He'll talk a lot about the Web3 market. There's a social platform. I'm not going to share the name now because I want people to tune back in and hear Nandik talk about it. You can go in and lock up your name. Centralized social media platform now. Yeah. It just got over $1 billion valuation, right? So, anyway, those are, I think,
I think this is a good stopping point.
Well, all right, before we do then, if you guys are tired and we're going to stop right here, fine. But I want to kind of give a hint. Coming in August, September timeframe, we're looking at doing a seminar where we're going to bring business owners. We're going to bring people that are looking for funding. We're going to bring some VCs together, and we're going to do a the thought is kind of do a semi Shark Tank type atmosphere where people can come in and learn about businesses, but also present and do a minute, 2 minute, 3 minute explanation of their business and actually get funding for businesses that are in the intermediate stage. You've already been doing business, you have some sales, and even people that have business ideas that they want help with. So I'm very excited about that. I was working all day today on putting together that outline. There'll be a dinner at the end of that, and we'll invite people from the audience that come, and you'll actually get to meet with the three of us, venture capitalists that are actually looking to invest in different businesses. So look for that. I'm excited about that.
That is great, Wayne. I did, want to mention May 30th, 12 o'clock Pacific on Zoom. We're going to have Michael Bruce, the sleep doctor. And if you haven't seen the sleep doctor, information about sleep, it's unbelievable, right? We'll have it sponsored HPMA by Melody Clouds. It'll be hosted at Witty. Different ways, you have to get your sleep as an entrepreneur. And I think something he talks about is intensity of sleep too. And the things you could do to make sure, because we're all on a journey for success. I want to make sure to point that out before we wrap tonight.
All right.
In today's rapidly evolving healthcare landscape, effective project management is more crucial than ever. Many organizations struggle with achieving their goals due to inefficiencies and lack of direction. Tony Robbins' RPM framework can transform this approach. The RPM framework provides a roadmap for success. You'll soon see how applying these principles can revolutionize healthcare project management and lead to better outcomes for everyone involved. Let's take a deeper dive into applying the RPM framework to healthcare project management. It all begins with defining your outcomes. Think improved patient care, operational efficiency, and data accuracy. These goals set the stage for transformation. Next, understand your why. This is where you align your efforts with greater purposes like patient-centered care, innovation, and sustainability. A clear why gives you direction and purpose. Now, create your roadmap. Engage stakeholders early and often. Conduct readiness assessments to gauge where you are and what you need. Develop comprehensive training programs to bring everyone up to speed. Set concrete milestones and metrics so you can measure progress along the way. And don't forget, communication is key. Regular updates keep everyone aligned and motivated. Lastly, focus on the 20% of actions that will yield 80% of the results. This principle keeps you efficient and effective, concentrating efforts where they matter most. By following these steps, you harness the power of the RPM framework to reimagine project management in healthcare. This approach transforms outcomes and drives innovation in real-world examples. By applying the RPM framework, healthcare organizations can achieve transformative results. Imagine enhanced patient care, streamlined operations, and accurate data management. These are not just possibilities, but tangible outcomes. Real-life examples showcase the remarkable successes already achieved. Increased efficiency in patient care and precise data management demonstrates the framework's profound impact. Now, it's your turn to start the transformation. If you seek guidance or assistance, don't hesitate to reach out. Your journey to better healthcare project management begins now. Your first step in this adventure is contacting Ian Slade at ian@itconsultinggroup.com. He can guide your path from there.